Shun Skywalker became increasingly desperate to save Masquerade from crumbling apart. He even started wearing Dragon Dia's colors, pink and white, and he vowed to get back the Triangle Gate titles that the unit lost to RED in September. Kota Minoura and Jason Lee were less than enthusiastic, but at the following Korakuen Hall show, the tension between RED led to poor teamwork, which Shun capitalized on to win back the belts for Masquerade. Afterward, he thanked his partners, who were hesitant to celebrate with him. Shun Skywalker devised a solution to the tension in Masquerade, a one-on-one match. If Minoura won, Shun would leave Masquerade and vacate the Triangle Gate titles. Minoura accepted, and on December 26th at Final Gate, the year-long war between Masquerade and RED was only represented in one match, with Diamante beating La Estrella. But elsewhere on the card, RED members Hyo and SB Kento won the Open the Twin Gate tag team titles, and finally Kai beat Yamato for the Dream Gate title. The only belts RED didn't have now were the Triangle Gate, and two of the three current champions were now fighting each other. During the Shun Skywalker Kota Minoura match, Shun Skywalker unmasked himself and threw his mask into Kota Minoura's hands before covering up his own face. This gave Shun the disqualification win, forcing Minoura to stay in the group. Shun had taken off the very mask that he had sacrificed Dragon Dia to save, in order to stop Masquerade from disbanding. He then spoke with a towel draped over his head, repeating over and over that he did what he had to do, and that keeping Masquerade together was the most important thing. Kota Minoura, of course, was very unhappy. Shun Skywalker, on the other hand, seemed almost unhinged. In January 2022, RED had been throwing chalk powder into the eyes of their opponents to gain cheap victories. At one point, Hyo accidentally threw the powder into Kaito Ishida's eyes, costing him the match. On the next show, Eita had the powder and was going to throw it at Kota Minoura, and then deliberately threw the powder in Hyo's face anyway. Meanwhile, though Shun Skywalker's actions had seemed merely cowardly on the surface, something else was happening. Shun was clearly losing his mind. While Minoura said he heard from Dragon Dia via text message, Shun began talking about how Dragon Dia spoke to him in his dreams, saying that he was coming back and he wanted Masquerade to be whole again. During Masquerade's entrances, Shun now obsessively wore all of the group's entrance robes and masks at once, then attempted to distribute them to each member, who all refused. He would then place them around the ring anyway, and continue doing the group's full entrance routine by himself. Then came the reason I wanted to make this in the first place. January 12th, 2022. In what was supposed to be the final match of the night, Shun Skywalker, Kota Minoura, and Jason Lee defended their Triangle Gate belts against the RED contingent of Eita, Hyo, and Ishida. The dynamic of this match was unlike any trios match they've ever had. On Masquerade's side, neither of Shun's partners wanted to tag him. On RED's side, neither of Hyo's partners wanted to tag him. This left what was essentially a Hyo vs. Shun singles match with the occasional forced tag to bring in the rest. RED attempted to cheat, but when Minoura got a hold of their weapon, he hit Shun by accident, leading to the end of the match and the loss of the Triangle Gate titles back to RED. For a brief moment, RED held all the gold in the company. What followed was an absolute meltdown by Shun Skywalker, where he finally snapped. He screamed repeatedly at Minoura to admit it was all his fault, while Minoura maintained that it was an accident. But Shun couldn't accept this and completely broke down into a tantrum. Finally, Hyo intervened and offered Shun a spot in RED instead, calling all the way back to their history in Mochizuki Dojo. But then... Shun Skywalker, previously obsessed with keeping Masquerade together, had finally abandoned his team and joined the enemy. But that wasn't the end. Eita and Ishida entered the ring, yelling at Hyo for deciding on his own to recruit a new member, especially their biggest rival. Eita was the leader and he made the decisions. The new Triangle Gate champions then imploded, as Hyo and the rest of RED attacked Eita and Ishida. Hyo's hostile takeover ousted their leader and the only remaining founding member. But that wasn't the end either. Ryo Saito emerged, announcing that there would be one more title defense because one member of RED hadn't wrestled that night. SB Kento would have a surprise Brave Gate title defense. And suddenly... For the first time in 6 weeks, an unmasked Dragon Dia appeared, riding a skateboard to the ring and looking happier than ever. He immediately took it to SB Kento while the remaining members of RED attempted to stop him from winning. With the referee again distracted, Hyo got up on the ring with the bucket of powder, ready to blind Dragon Dia. But after an equally long absence, Dia Inferno ran to ringside, mask and all. He motioned for Hyo to give him the powder, and then... Dragon Dia quickly hit his finishing move on SB Kento and became the new Brave Gate champion. Yuki Yoshioka once again unmasked and faced off with Dragon Dia. But things were a little different this time. Their long feud was over now that they were both unmasked and no longer had the shadow of their characters' rivalry hanging over them. In only a few minutes' time, Dragon Gate had paid off nearly every storyline that had been building up for the past 2 to 3 years. The following night, Dragon Dia and Yuki Yoshioka defeated Hyo and SB Kento for the Twin Gate titles, with Yoshioka outside of the dragon costume for the first time in over a year and in the best shape of his life. Dragon Gate veteran Naruki Doi announced that he would be forming a new unit. He saw the troubles happening in Masquerade and offered Kota Minoura the centerpiece position of his new group, which would later be named Gold Class. Minoura repeatedly turned him down, stating that he needed to take care of business in Masquerade first before giving him an answer. But he agreed to team together for just one match against RED with their newest member Shun Skywalker, and despite all the events of the past 24 hours, Shun kept insisting that Masquerade could still be whole again if only Minoura would finally apologize, calling him a spoiled brat and expecting every opportunity to be given to him. Finally, at the February Korakuen Hall show, RED declared that since Eita was gone and they had a completely new lineup now, they would rename themselves for a new generation. On the same show, Jason Lee and Kota Minoura tagged for the last time as Masquerade, then agreed to go their separate ways as Minoura finally accepted Naruki Doi's offer. Jason Lee and La Estrella also had one final match, but failed to capture the Twin Gate titles and also agreed to separate. After more than a year of mutual dominance, feuding, and crumbling from the inside, both Masquerade and RED were dead. Now, this could have been the end. In fact, when I was making this video I originally planned for it to be the end. But the story of Masquerade still didn't end there.